Hello.
Can you smell it? Can you feel it? Is your body prepared?
Is it the rocks cooking?
What Hugo's cooking, maybe.
Ah.
That Curse Hollow, man, that's a good map for Illidan. That's a good map for the playstyle that the one is all about. Clumping up, aggression, superior team fighting, and brute forcing their way through. They've done it multiple times in the past. Are they going to do it again?
Let us find out as the draft begins. And BTG with the first ban, as once again, this was the one map choice. Now, is there anything from the last game that is truly the reason they lost? Genji was pretty tough. It's probably a big chunk of why they lost. Tyrael, I would argue, is not worth a first ban at the moment. So, Hanzo is a fair assessment this time.
True. Hanzo is fair. I mean, strong poking for the tributes, strong vision control. Yeah. He's super awesome at clearing bosses as well, which is one of the go-to things to do on Cursed Hollow. It surprises me that Beyond the Game bans Hanzo twice in a row when they could have actually picked it themselves. So they either don't seem to have a good Hanzo player, or they just focus on other things and don't want it to fall into the hands of the opponent.
Also potentially true. There's also the fact on this map, boss racing with Hanzo is such a big threat because if you go for that scatter arrow build, he just shreds the bosses, and you will oftentimes see teams try to do that, just take their boss when it's not expected and then invade the others because you finished in less than half the time.
So what is the ban going to be? Oftentimes, yep, that's a good one. Don't change anything about the garage if you don't want to play it yourselves, and I do want to say that I don't think he has what it takes to become a godlike garage player yet. I think mechanically he's a little bit weaker than some of the other players in the league on the tank role, but he could play an Arthas. That's what they do if they want to go for that super comfort zone style that the one is known for. And the way they would start these Illidan Arthas drafts, it's always like, you know, you pick something neutral like a Genji early on, you pick something like, let's say, a Greymane even, and then towards the middle of the draft, you lock in the Arthas only to finish it up with an Illidan last pick. So Beyond the Game should, of course, know that. Keep in mind that those two teams were actually entering HGC China together for the first time in 2017. So they probably have most experience out of all teams because they faced them in the open division of China.
Indeed. So far, though, we're starting off with the Malfurion. And the question is, are we going to see the mirror draft? Yes, we are so far. Genji. The second time we've done that today. Genji and Uther coming in for the start.
Yeah, this is exactly how they started draft number 1, right? Up to this point?
Not Cassia. Not Cassia. Because that would be next.
The thing is, maybe they're expecting the Illidan. Maybe they were expecting the Illidan all along and basically wanted to pick the Cassia preemptively. But the one was like, okay, I guess we're not going to pick Illidan then, so we're just going to demolish you with Junkrat, because Lucky's pretty good in that hero too. But already, the one, I think they're up to something. Maybe playing mind games, opening up the same way they did on Sky Temple, only to maybe fall back on Illidan later on. And if you're like, hey, Kenrick, calm yourself down. Illidan is not a thing anymore. He's not good. Just wait until you see the magic of a boss Illidan by Hugo, and you're going to be on my side in the future games to come.
The Demon Hunter's greatest trick was making us believe he doesn't exist. Oh, come on!
You gotta be kidding me! What?
I'm pretty annoyed, honestly. Well, we have a Sonya as well, so that's slightly more reasonable. They have a pretty good setup here. A little bit of good solo laner of their own.
You can't go blind Cassia. She's good at blinding, but you can't pick her blindly. Someone needs to tell Beyond the Game that this is not the case. And if Tetcher gets some mild, very polite British aggressiveness into his statements about what he thinks of the heroes, you know he's serious about it.
Yeah, I want it clear. Cassia is probably one of my favorite assassins. I think she's very fun to play and probably has given me more wins than I deserve in Hero League. But come on now. She has a place, and there are other options. Tigers, Greymane, they're higher picks for a reason.
Even if they're scared of something like an Illidan, for example, or something like a Tracer, I don't even know what they're afraid of that they pick Cassia so early. You're totally right.
Okay, that's reasonable, to be fair. The Zarya has been used in the past in China as a sort of empowerer for a second, basically as a second support. Not for Sonya, for Cassia. The extra movement speed gives Cassia so much more viability without having to say War Traveler, because War Traveler's kind of terrible. But it still gives Cassia so much capability to just drop crazy amounts of damage. And of course, you get the boss control tool of the Expulsion Zone, so it's a reasonable ban.
I could still see Arthas here, to be honest. Arthas against Cassia is amazing. Like, you can't miss her that much because she's always close to you due to her short range. She can't escape you because she doesn't have a dash or a blink. A blash.
That's fair. A blash.
A blash. If they want to go that route, though, they need something for the offlane. I wouldn't mind a Dehaka against that, to be honest. Dehaka against Cassia, you grab her with a licky sticky tongue. You deal magic damage onto her, you blind her, and she should be gone.
For solo laners, I'm kind of leaning towards Blaze or Leoric. Leoric's going to put much less pressure on Cassia, but it certainly gives them a little bit more freedom against the Sonya. So we're going to see a Nubarak coming in. Good plan here. Best way to counter Cassia is to stop her moving. Lots of stuns is a great way to do such a thing. And the Junkrat coming in as well. We're going to siege that damage in.
That they will do. Now, Nubarak is an okay pick, especially since it's one of the better tanks that he plays very well. And the only thing a Nubarak now needs to be on the lookout for is, of course, the charged strikes if Cassia wants to go that route again. He's very susceptible to basic attack damage in general. So if he goes in a little too aggressively, pre-10 with a Cocoon not available, especially against Cassia and Sonya, ooh, that could really be a big problem for the Beetle.
That's true. I can totally understand that, and I think you are correct here. I think a decent way to deal with this would be, well, for starters, they do need a second tank anyway, because they need a solo laner, unless they're going to put Junkrat there, which has happened before. BTG, though, they can very much punish this by, well, not what I expected and not what I was going to say, but we will move on to that topic. Yeah, double warrior and a bruiser in this case, and it's kind of neat, but Cassia's not enough damage for this. There is so much pressure on Sonya now. If they don't pick like damage talents for at least a little bit for Tyrell, maybe a little bit for ETC, then there's going to be concerns.
Welcome to HGC China, ladies and gentlemen, where sometimes even the resident casters don't really know what to expect of the teams. Triple Warrior, it's been a while. Korean teams like to do that every now and then as well. But even Korean teams haven't done that in quite a while, have they?
To be fair, once again, Sonya is more of a melee mage. We say this, but her survivability is also kind of crazy. I'm just concerned about the amount of damage they actually have. Malfurion needs to... So their objective now is one of two things. They either want to just take burst talents, they're a very good pick in case that's a thing, and of course, percentage damage, oh yes, against multiple tanks, that's going to be pretty great. So they either want to try some kind of burst with maybe a leap and just set up for a Twilight Dream, or they're still going to pick Tranquility, and their entire objective is just to out-sustain because they have such a strong front line and just let Cassia whittle away at people, which again, I still think there's better options for, but that's what they've gone for now.
I think this is basically the name of the game for Beyond the Game. We're going to take a look another look at the drafts here. It's basically protect the Sonya at this point, right? You have a Death Ball composition featured or protected by Tyrael with the shields, with Sanctification later on. The ETC is probably going to go for Proc Rock, so more AoE healing for his melee compadres. And then we go Tranquility, most likely, which will then even boost the healing and self-sustain of all those three beefy warriors even more. But then again, if you go Tranquility, look at a Nubarak. He's going to be a happy little beetle, dropping the cocoon onto Malf and watching all that Tranquility while you go down the drain. So it's not like the one doesn't have a lot to actually counter what Beyond the Game has with super tanky drafting, but it's going to be a little bit hard for them to make work. Also, Tetcher, before I conclude my thought here, Concussion Mine against Triple Warrior is going to be so crucial.
Yes, that's going to be kind of great. You are so right. Oh man, Junkrat, you're going to have such a good time. On the left-hand side, BTG 619 on the Tyrael, LLK on Sonya, Druid on Malfurion, Dancing on the Cassia, and it is going to be Lai on the ETC.
Coming in, leading 1-0 in this series. It is the One with Hugo on Leoric, Lucky on Junkrat. It is Meng on the Genji. ZJZ is gonna rock that Uther, and Hihi on one of his favorite tanks on a Nubarak.
And the Nubarak not even going for the spell shield. He doesn't really need it.
Yeah,
he needs to out-sustain because he's going to be in the fight a really long time. So taking the regen master here.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. Also, if you have a support like Uther in the backline, you need to take a little bit more care of yourself, right? So more health regeneration in those longer skirmishes around tributes, for example, especially in the mid-late game, could really, really come in handy here with the Regen Master. Nubarak can stay in the fight a little bit longer. It's also nice against the rather slow damage, and they find ETC. Stun, 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 but face melt, OP.
Yeah, too tanky. Can't take down ETC as of yet. So, let's have a look at some of the talents. This time, Cassie's going with a Q build. I like this. If you've got 3 front lines, you might as well just stay even further back and not worry about getting stuck in and risking your own life when you already know Genji's going to be coming to you. So you do not need to be concerned about that.
Now look Sonya at that, by the way. Hugo absolutely demolishing LLK on the Sonya. And Tesher, I can tell you why that is. Sonya already went for a very aggressive laning build, right? With more damage on the Seismic Slam. However, if you don't go block against Leoric, his auto attacks, which are one of the hardest hitting ones in the game, are going to ruin your day.
Yes, they are. The cleave auto attacks for wave clear, and then, of course, that big crit auto attack, which can certainly ruin you if you are the one who is struck by it. Sonya, once again, though, with Furious Blow, every 4th Seismic Slam she casts is going to do 50% more damage to the primary target, and it costs nothing. It is going to be completely free, but it is still a little bit of a difficulty getting up to 4. You need to get up to 3 and basically hold the 4th usually when it comes to team fights. Like, head into a team fight having struck 3 different minions with the Seismic Slam, so you are prepared for the initial burst.
All right, so this also caters towards what Tetra and I were alluding to during the draft, right? Make that Sonya shine. Protect her with Trivia Shields, protect her with Malf healings and ETC healings on the Proc Rock, so that she can go for a more aggressive build and doesn't even have to spend so many talents that are defensive to keep her alive. Genji deflecting easy. Ooh, Swift striking into the roots though, but he has the Cyber Agility. Genji, by the way.
Genji, by the way. Cassia sticking with Ring of the Leech, just getting, keeping the sustain, nothing super strange or out of the ordinary there. And Sonya also sticking fairly normally, Battle Rage, even though she's going aggressive. It's still, in this case, Battle Rage is so good for the protection and the mercenary camps, which are so important on this map. It makes more sense than, let's say, maybe the shattered ground, which could have been the other option.
Yeah, Nubarak going in with a Burrow Charge. Stuns on Cassia Connect as well. Not giving her any physical armor up to this point. She drops her very low, but gets to safety, and that's all that matters. Now, Sonya actually changed lanes, right? She switched lanes because she realized there was no way I can hold my own against Hugo on that Leoric, because A, Hugo is a god on that hero, and B, I don't have the necessary talents in the early game to equip myself against all that pressure. So Tyrael, Eldrin's might for the interrupt here, but ZJZ is going to have a good time. Druid is getting caught in the woods all by himself. Is he going to fall? Genji?
Swift Strike isn't up, but Shurikens certainly are, as Meng picks up the kill. Uther gets the channel as Tyrael is zoned out, and the One pick up the first tribute of the game.
Oh, I think Lai just got flung over the wall here by a cheeky concussion by now the minions and Junkrat. Are they going to take down the ETC? The trap allows him not to go to the left anymore. Lucky has no mercy, no chills, and ETC gets absolutely dominated.
Lovely little kill by Lucky there. Really nice to see. That was well executed, just punishing the positioning of ETC. Uther has completed Hammer the Lightbringer. Now his Hammer of Justice will have a cooldown reduction on every auto attack. And Nubarak with Shed Exoskeleton here. Maximum mobility. Still sticking with the Subterranean Shield though.
Yeah, of course that takes a little bit of range from the Burrow Charge, but of course gives him increased movement speed when the shields have been used. Now Hugo's still draining. The engage happens on Tyrael, who is of course a target that escapes very nicely, but is once again Druid, who is struggling to keep up with the pressure that the One apply onto him. He just basically needs to work on his positioning a little more. He just can't go for those obvious rotations where there's stunning and interrupting heroes like a Nubarak who will just catch him and nail him down.
Yeah, very nice jobs here by Anubrak, and especially Meng, who's been the one who's been able to pick up those kills. 619 gets the teleport, but Meng isn't done. He's running out of beetles, though, and that's kind of going to shut down this chase.
Yeah, the beetles, of course, they intercept fort and keep aggro, so when you're a Anubrak and you want to go for a dive without any minions, you need to make sure to spam your abilities quite nicely. And even now, they're not letting go, although they're running out of minions. Anubrak is still going to provide more distraction. So the beetles are not going to intercept once again, and they're not really letting go either. The one are actually engaging onto the Sonya this time.
There's the stun interrupting the whirlwind. Druid is here this time, though, and is in a much safer position, so can actually drop those Moonfires to heal up LLK. But the fort will go down. There was no question about this. So now it is a question with that fort down, how much can the one continue to hold their lead? It's only 15 seconds before the objective. They're very close to level 10. Their opponents are very much not, so this is likely going to be a curse.
This is basically all going super well for the one. They realize, you know what? Level 10 is going to be here, and that's why they played so aggressively. They basically wanted to make sure that the enemies were kept at bay so that the minions would be able to finish the fort, which will then net them the level 10 advantage. And as such, now they're going to get the curse. They're already spread out quite nicely. Leoric is dealing with the mercenaries, so they don't have to worry about that during curse time. They have heroes in the middle, in the bottom, and in the top lane to get as much soaking and structure value as possible. This is just a picture-perfect start to this game on Cursed Hollow by the one. And it's really cool to see how the one are able to capitalize on that, because Cursed Hollow in China is almost never played. So they're one of the few teams, maybe even the only team, who seems to feel really comfortable in it, and that makes other teams struggle much more than they should.
We're seeing BTG, the main issue they seem to be having here is the fact that they're unable to fight as a team yet, especially due to the fact they still don't have their heroics. Once this happens, we could begin to see a turnaround, but while that can't happen, while they don't have that level 10, while they can't do these team fights, they are losing so much. They've lost 2 forts, and their front wall is being incredibly assaulted. A keep is going to be the attempt here for the one. Level 10 is so close for BTG, but ETC isn't here. It looks like he's probably going to go stage dive just so he can join his team here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought as well. It's definitely going to be a stage dive, otherwise there would be no reason for ETC to still linger in that bottom lane. Stage dive has been locked in. When we're going to see it, the minion waves are zerging down the middle. Keep Tetra after 7 minutes, and BTG, they need to fight back if they want to maybe stay in the game at this point.
They're moving forward. Junkrat's not here. Stage dive is good. The big stop, the Twilight Dream, and that's exactly what they wanted. Down goes Leoric. He escapes, though. Meng dashes away. They're actually still chasing him. Speed boost from Tyrael to chase down. Concussion Mine does not land. Good dodge by LLK. But too tanky and too speedy with that shared exoskeleton.
Yeah, absolutely true. So, the one, let's carefully analyze what just happened. They were able to get the curse. They were able to get a keep as well. Now they're going to be a little bit pesky. Hugo comes back. ETC actually getting engaged on by a Anubrak. Here comes the Cocoon. It's a 4 versus 4.
Yeah, this is a huge numbers disadvantage here coming in for the one. Such a risky play. LLK's dying to the boss. He just gets out though with the whirlwind. Beautiful concussion might push him into that. But this is not over. They still want this boss, but they know though they can't. Leoric is back alive. Uther's on the way. That would make it a 5 versus 5. And it looks like we're going to see the one try to move in and steal this.
The question is Divine Shield ready? We don't know yet. Here comes the stun against Uther. ETC goes in, gets another connect here. Tyrael, Divine Shield used on him, on Junkrat.
Leoric is in the backline, looking to see if he can sneak onto the position, but with his allies dying, with Uther down again, this is going to be BTG, guaranteeing their own boss. 619, round 2, Gonna try and catch him. You can see Dancing moving with that extra speed from Smite, but can't catch up.
That was a little bit too ambitious here by the one. True, they were buying a lot of time. True, they didn't actually do so poorly in the early stages of that skirmish, but then Uther got stunned. Genji was too low, actually, despite the healing received by Uther. Genji should have actually maybe gone in with a Divine Shield earlier. As such, it had to be used on Junkrat, who was also getting a little too cheeky. And as a result, that boss was taken by BTG. However, the one didn't take critical damage, right? They didn't get wiped. They didn't lose 4 members. They only lost a member. And the boss can be defended very handsomely here. Actually, Meng getting caught by the root. Don't do this at home, kids.
And with the tributes, have reset. And this is good. This gives BTG time to clean up some catapults. They can afford to give this one up if they want to. It's likely they will. It's very far out on the map. They don't have level 13. Makes a lot more sense for them to do exactly this. Spend some time clearing mid, remove the pressure, and grab some mercenaries. Sonya going for the Siege Giant camp. They're just bringing themselves back into the match.
Yeah, for now, all the one needs to do is just stabilize. But beyond the game, They're currently riding the momentum train here. They seem to have found their rhythm. They seem to have found a good way to start those fights. 13 is here for them now as well. We see the cooldown reduction for Cassia on her Q, which is going to be ever so important if she wants to be able to spam out the damages later on. Maybe even going for the piercing lightning at 16, which could then result in even more dividing. Now he rushes through the bush, saying hello to Tyrael, giving him a high five.
Everyone takes, those who can, except for Nubrak, take the short route. Nubrak decides to stick with some solidarity with Uther and take the less safe route, but also the one that doesn't burn cooldowns.
Now here's the big advantage of Leoric, of ETC against the Leoric in the bottom lane, right? At this point, ETC is a global hero, similar to Dehaka, similar to Falser, right? So he can join that tribute battle at any given moment, whereas Leoric is probably not going to make it in time. So ETC needs to carefully analyze when it's safe to do so and whether he actually wants to do it in the first place, right? He also needs to make sure that he doesn't get poked and drained too hard by the Leoric, because then he could find himself in a bad position. Coming low into the battlefield is normally not a wise choice. 619 tried to maybe interrupt. Oh, the beautiful body block by Ming, intercepting the spear as well. So it's a 2-4-0 tribute advantage once again for the One.
And that's very annoying for BTG. They are unfortunately going to have lost the fort in the bot lane. Lai now trying to defend a fountain. And the One, they have 2 tributes. BTG, they still have none. Despite the fact they were on even talents, and now they're not going to be for a very long time again, as level 16 is about to be hit by the One.
Yeah, you could say that this one move by Meng, like this cheeky little sidestep to intercept the Sonya Spear, which was the only available interrupt for Beyond the Game, could have secured them a major advantage. As you said, 16 is around the corner, and I think Beyond the Game, they realized that they need to make something happen. 16 is already here, Hugo coming in.
Nice tag. Twilight Dream is good, Divine Shield on the Genji, Dragon Blade trying to move in, Meng so low, he out, stays alive for the moment, and no one dies on either side.
No one dies on either side. Many cooldowns were used, so this was a good outcome for Beyond the Game, right? Because they're still behind one talent tier. However, Hugo, this is where he hit his power spike. This is with Royal Focus and Ominous Wraith. He's going to demolish those team fights.
They're trying to turn it back round. ETC separated from the team, making this a 4 versus 5 for quite a while here. Sonya, though, is causing so much grief, giving so much sustain as Tyrael begins to pressure ZJZ here. As they put on the pressure, Hugo's dropping low, but able to get out. ETC with the power slide onto ZJZ as 619 is so low, but he can't catch up to the Junkrat there. The Junkrat will survive. LLK will finally kill off Hugo, making this a 2-for-1 here as Leoric goes down. ETC and Tyrael die in place as well. Dancing killed off by the deflect on the Fed.
Easy deflect, and here even goes the Cocoon. They don't want to deal with tanky Sonya. They go for squishy mouth in the meantime, only to wait until the white wraps are lifted. And here goes the full team wipe. Go through the middle, end the game, maybe even go for the curse just to be 100% safe here. Lucky, of course, has the Ripper Air and could join his team super fast again, but the One are not going for the core.
I mean, Genji had to go back. He was on like no health, but they're instead going to go for the keep, grab some minions to help them here. Catapults are on the way, so Siege Giants, they will be able to assist them with this, but in this time, BTG are back. And this is why they didn't go for the core, because this would have happened, because they had to send people back this time.
Yeah, I'll take that back, actually. I think the One made the right call here. They realized, you know what, level 15, 16 death timers are very low. Genji was in no place to actually continue the fight. The stage dive here, just basically as a defense tool, not really trying to engage a team fight or anything, but they need to keep the minions at bay. The top key.
Wow.
Save.
That's really good. Nicely done by BTG, saving that top keep, keeping themselves in this game, really. But with stage dive used, it's unlikely they'd be able to actually interrupt this boss, but it looks like the One don't want this boss.
I think Beyond the Game realizes, though, that this boss is the biggest winning condition for the One right now. The top lane is basically non-existent anymore. They actually forgot about the minions. Hello! And the top keep is demolished. They finished the job. And now, of course, the top boss is the biggest game ender, potentially, because it's going to march right at the core. The lane is drop dead naked, so there won't be any obstacles, any defensive structures anymore to cripple and slow down the boss. So the One, they realized exactly that. However, they face a Tyrael Tetcher. They face a Holy Ground Tyrael. This is still a risky endeavor, despite the One having a 3-level lead.
It really is. They need to be very careful. But if they kill 619, that will remove that threat.
Oh, no.
He drops the Sang.
That's
Keeping
already
himself
so
alive
huge.
here, but he's so separated from his team, he's able to teleport back over the wall. Sonya in the cocoon. This will be cleared up quite quickly. ETC's not here, remember, but Stage Dive is available. Into the backline, looking for ZJZ. The Riptide not getting too much value, but here is the Divine Shield Dragon Blade. And that is it. Everyone is going to die, and that is going to be the one taking the game. Even if ZJZ dies, it does not matter, but he survives anyway. Core is already under pressure, Catapult's getting value, and they move straight onto the core. On the bright side, Mithril Mace was completed as a quest, because that's a talent that was taken.
Well, we don't know if it was a misclick or if you actually wanted to use more hard-hitting auto attacks. Maybe you thought Royal Focus was not needed. Can't really blame him for that. But the game is coming to an end here. The series is coming to an end, and the One are taking this 2-0. No flashy core. Come on. Who is that? Who does that? That's so rude.
A little bit.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Give us the core.
There we go. And the Observer unforced it. That is GG.
All right. Now, this was, of course, a really heated situation for Beyond the Game, right? They had to make something happen because otherwise, as Tetra pointed out, the mercenaries, the catapults, the minions, they were already at the core. So in the long run, they would have lost the game anyways, and certainly with that boss if they had given up that boss, right? So they were forced. There was a time